Hey, it's a great day. And today's another pirate broadcast, and we have another special guest. Frank is in. He's actually also a LinkedIn live broadcaster that is getting on the move. He's been doing video for a while, so we want to dive into how he's using video and what he's using and how it impacts his business. So, Frank, good morning. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to the Pirate Broadcast.
Hey, good morning, Russ. Have to admit, I was dreaming last night, hopefully, that this was an in-studio show because I believe it's a little bit warmer in Arizona than in New York City today. It's like 20.
Are you guys getting pummeled today?
Just cold.
Just
And
cold.
I live on Long Island on the water, so yeah, it was a little chilly.
That cool breeze off the water kind of gets a chill factor down at that. So.
Sure does. So thanks for having me. I'm a pirate now, and I got to admit, I thought that when I first got invited that we were going to have some cocktails, maybe do a little plundering, but this is a different kind of piracy.
Well, we're going to do some plundering for sure. We're going to plunder into your bounty of nuggets of knowledge and share that stuff with the community here, because the one thing that I want to do is add value. And one of the things that
Sure.
I noticed about you is that, the financial planning, insurance, and this kind of industry is fairly limited in what you can say and what you can do in
Sure.
terms of promises and, things that conversations you can have online. And you're taking the next step and really utilizing video, and you have a video series. And I want to talk about how it has impacted your business, how it has positioned you as an authority, and some of the strategies that you use that others could benefit from here in the community.
Sure. Great. Yeah, great lead in, Russ. So there certainly is a tremendous compliance element in certain industries when you're publicly broadcasting.
Mhm.
Fortunately for me, I'm using my public broadcasts and my LinkedIn video series. I'm doing it more to just lay the base as a thought leader, as someone with over 2 decades of sales experience. I
Mhm.
want to help people. I want to help people sell better. That's
Okay.
really the goal of my LinkedIn presence. No one ever wakes up in the morning and goes, "Oh, gee, I look a little underinsured. I better see who's in my LinkedIn feed this morning and go buy some." That's not going to happen.
Yeah, who
So
can
I'm
I
really,
purchase insurance from today?
yeah. So I'm not marketing my insurance business directly through LinkedIn. I'm looking more to help salespeople be a better version of themselves. I started back in about August or so. I started with a Tip Tuesday. That's my hashtag Tip Tuesday video series.
Okay.
And the real reason I started it was because there's so many salespeople that oscillate in their careers, right? I've been in the top 1% of my industry. I've been bankrupt, and I've been everywhere in between. And once you're committed to sales, it's kind of what you do. There's no left turn 20 years down the line into, oh, okay, I'll just become a corporate so-and-so at this point. So when you're in, you're all in. So I started this series really to rebuild the battle plan of my own business and get more consistency. I accumulated all of the tricks and tips and systems and processes that I had been using successfully. And I started to just catalog them all together and decided to share them. It's tremendously helped my own business, and I'm getting tons of feedback from people out there in the community. I actually get text messages around 12 noon or 1 p.m. on Tuesdays for people saying, "Hey, where's the tip today?"
Yeah, no kidding.
They're looking for it. So the Tip Tuesday video series is really, it's about helping other salespeople get more consistency, get documented systems and processes, because consistency is really the key to everything. I mean, you do a daily show, right? If you don't show up on the air for a couple of days, people are going to start wondering, "Hey, where's Russ? What's going on?"
Where's Russ? Yeah. You brought up a couple of key points I want to dive in on. Is one is consistency with anything it's really important to understand the power of consistency. You think about, okay, what can I accomplish today? Or you think of a big goal. And if you chip away at that goal daily for a year, you can make it a lot further than you imagine you can. And I think people underestimate their ability to achieve goals like that because they're always thinking of the elephant in the room, the big
Right.
the big goal. And I think that's counterproductive in a lot of ways. And I'm sure that you've talked about that before in the selling process is,
Certainly.
let's just break it down to simple steps and okay, is this step or this stage of what I'm doing working toward my goal? Is this helping me or hindering me? Is it process or procrastination? What is it?
Right. It's always one of those two things, right?
It's one of those two things. And
It's
and,
easy.
and I'm and I've never I've been in sales and I've always primarily been on the delivery side and
Mhm.
assisting. I always think of this assisting the process side, which in turns develops sales as well. And so it's one of those things that we all need help with. So what are a few tips that you really can gravitate toward as sharing on the Pirate Broadcast here? And
Sure.
it's like simple tips that we can take away and be motivated.
Yeah, you're right up my alley with that lead in. I got to tell you, Russ. So as part of my series,
I did look at your profile, right?
as part of my series, I give away from time to time things I call Morizioisms.
Uh-huh.
And Morizioisms it's basically advice offered as a way to better your business process or better your life process. And I have a video that talks about by the inch, it's a cinch, and by the yard, it's hard. And I
Yeah.
think that focuses exactly in on what you're talking about. Too many times people look at the end goal and say one of two things: either, hey, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to go get that,
Yeah.
and I'm going to eat that whole apple in one bite, and yeah, probably going to choke, not knowing that you need to take it one bite at a time.
Hmm.
And then the other thing that can happen is the opposite is people look at the end game and it's too
Hmm.
daunting, it's too big, and it freezes them into inaction
Yeah.
because they don't feel like any action they can take is going to be grand enough to get them close. It really is. I mean, marketing and sales and processes, it's a long-term thing. It's a journey. It's not a destination. It's something that you have to continue to work on daily. I've found that one of the easy ways to move inch by inch is by having a written plan. So, I'm sure as a show producer last night, you looked at who your guest was going to be today. You wrote down what your flow for the show was going to be. You did a little research. You had a plan. That sometime later today, you're going to edit this broadcast. You're going to turn it into a podcast. It's going to get pushed out wherever it needs to get pushed out. So you have a plan and it's written down. You're certainly not flying by the seat of your pants. Neither am I. So one of the easiest things
Our
to
job
kind
is
of
to make it look like we're flying by the
absolutely, one of the easiest things that you can do is literally every night before you put your head down on the pillow, look at what tomorrow's schedule is going to be.
Yeah.
Schedule the revenue producing activity, schedule what's most important. And I try to stay 80% accountable to my schedule because I'm realistic and things happen and clients call and
Life
trains are
happens.
late. Life happens. So yeah, so going by the inch is definitely going to get you there faster, and you got to write it down, or else you really don't know where you're flying.
Yeah. I do believe in mapping out the day and know what activities I have to knock off the list in order to accomplish my goal. And the other thing I think it's really important that you mentioned was, knowing what your expectations, what your output is, because I'm I'm all about relationships. I'm not shooting just for the numbers. I'm shooting for the development of the relationship I can have with somebody like yourself.
Right.
There's a strategy behind the Pirate Broadcast, and it's like, okay, if I called you up next month, you would remember my name. It's like we have a relationship, we have an understanding that we're doing live video. This is a show, and later today I'm going to send you a link, and you're going to be on my blog, and you're going to be on a podcast, and you're going to be on
Right.
Twitter, and all of these other platforms. And, so you have an opportunity to share your highlights with your community to say, hey, I was on a show doing this thing, talking about this product process, and it's like,
Right.
so if I shine the light on you and help you shine your light, that helps the relationship, right?
Of course.
So
Of course.
it's not like I'm selling you insurance or anything today. So it's like we're just having a conversation, right?
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. I think that's the true beauty of it is the guard is relaxed. There's no expectations here. We can share some valuable information with the community that I think will, and I'd just like to share that Jeff Young, Ty, Nick Dorsey, Elizabeth, Michelle, Arcot, so all of these people are in here. It's actually on a holiday for a lot of people because it's Martin Luther King Day in the US. So I just want to remind everybody that this is Frank. Frank is in the insurance industry that's normally regulated considerably more than others. Well, with the financial institutions as well.
Sure.
And sharing things about sales. So Frank, one of the things that I know a lot of people, they get in this scarcity mode and they just chase out, and that's where the spam comes from. That's where the reactionary tactics come from. How can we get out of that phase and into a phase where it's more systematic and more process driven? How do you, what can we do to get out of it's like, I gotta call, I gotta make 100 calls today, always be closing kind of mentality. I think that's kind of done for a little bit.
Unfortunately, a lot of salespeople fall into that. I'll call it a trap, right? They don't have a long enough view. They either want immediate results because it's their personality, or they need immediate results because they've backed their way into a position now, right? And one of the most dangerous ways to ever try to sell is when you need the sale more than the prospect does, right? They're always going to smell it. It's going to come right through. Like you said, we've all gotten those spams in our message box on LinkedIn. You connected with me 3 minutes ago. Hey, I got this brand new system for you. Want to show it to you. Who manages?
We can do a parody over that.
Who manages the IT in your office? I certainly get those messages. How do we avoid it? Is really, you have to have a business plan, and it's not just, oh, I'm going to do X amount of stuff. There have to be actions tied to every part of it. And like you mentioned before, Russ, every action is either moving you toward or away your stated goal.
Yeah.
And once you deviate from that plan, you're unfortunately headed for quicksand. But it's not the quicksand. I mean, let me divert for a second. I thought quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem in my life when I was a child, because basically every TV show, Batman, everybody going to quicksand. The type of quicksand that makes, a salesman get over pushy, let's call it for lack of a better term, is the one that starts out very slow and then really accelerates. So if you deviate from your plan, it doesn't take long to put yourself in a bad position. The other way to combat that is, it's something that you were just talking about. It's relationships are the key to everything, right? And selling has to be relationship based. I can tell you that the majority of my business is not, I wouldn't call it incoming. Like I said, nobody ever picks up the phone to buy insurance, but it's incoming in the sense that the introductions come from people in my network that I have relationships with. If you are investing time in a set of people that are like-minded and want to have a symbiotic relationship where they're going to help you and you're going to help them, then it's going to start happening. One of the other things I do on my LinkedIn page, it's the Friday Fix-Up. So if I ever pop up on your feed on a Friday, or if you follow the hashtag Friday Fix-Up, you're going to see every Friday, I tell a quick story about who did I connect this week, right? And
That's
why.
Great. That's great.
If you ask people to connect you, we're here in this community. This isn't a social network. We're not here for friends. We're here for relationships, but relationships that lead to business. So if you ask for an introduction, and someone's hesitant to give it to you, you're probably not developing the best relationship with them. Might be time to move on.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're spot on with that because, even if you don't have any agenda or criteria, it's nice to reach out to people and just say hi,
Right.
checking in, how you doing? Love to hear from you. And it's just the thing that makes it so valuable, especially in LinkedIn. And I don't know if you sell insurance nationally or internationally or
I
what your
do.
boundaries are.
50-50.
However, the fact that we can be connected here, you're in New York, you're out on Long Island, freezing your hiney off because cold weather. I'm in
Today.
Arizona, it's probably 70 degrees. It's and the fact that we actually have this connection and we can actually have a conversation and people could be listening in our conversation like we're yelling across the room at a coffee shop is pretty amazing. It is amazing and it changes the landscape of how we operate. So
Sure.
I want to dive down a little bit and talk about how you feel video has kind of changed the landscape for your communication to your Tuesday tips, to your Friday mentions, some of the things
Yep.
that you do. And what does that look like before and after? And what are the challenges that you have with that?
Yeah, I mean, video is the game changer, right? I would say this, for the first time in my career, I really feel like I kind of jumped on something, maybe not in the beginning, but in its infancy.
Mhm.
And by just doing it, by just jumping in and not worrying about, production value and editing and spicing everything up and making it fancy, I just got started.
Yeah.
And what it's done for my career is it's allowed me on a screen to become me in your living room, right? So insurance guys aren't typically known for their personalities.
I don't know. I know some personable insurance people.
But you had to have a conversation with them to figure that out,
Yeah.
right? So I don't have the luxury of having a conversation with thousands of folks in my feed and so on until the advent of video came on. And even though I originally started out and, I still had the series where it's one way, where people are just listening to me, they're seeing my personality. They're understanding my passion. It's coming through in not only the way in which I deliver it, but the content that I'm delivering. So it's quasi creating a one-way relationship and maybe getting you to the phone call, maybe getting you to the discovery coffee, or, hey, let's get together, let's talk, I want to get to know you. So the game changer for me has been, I get to differentiate myself by putting out whatever it is that this is. I'm now getting an opportunity to put it out there. And before, I was just words on a screen, and I'm one of hundreds of thousands in my field.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I really enjoy and appreciate about that is that because we can use video and it doesn't have to be overly produced and it could be very simple. It's really about if you go to an event or you go to a meeting and they've seen your video, the bridge between the conversation of who are you to, oh, Frank, how's it going? I saw it. There's a more of a personable approach to the conversation. It removes kind of the first few awkward moments in the conversation of, yeah, who are you and why am I talking to you kind of moment versus, oh, hey, Frank, I saw you, we're connected on LinkedIn. I've had people come up and walk to me and say, hey, Russ, we're connected on LinkedIn. I see your content and I just wanted to say hi. Like, okay, great, awesome. Then you start the conversation. They already know who you are and they already know what you do. So if people like you and they need your service and you're top of mind because you're doing video every week or you're reminding them in the feed, they're at least going to give you the opportunity to have a conversation. Say, hey, can you help me, Frank? I have this. I have to solve this problem. I know you have a solution that may work for me. Can we do something together?
True story. Just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. In my own town at home, where my office is nowhere near. I'm in the Chinese restaurant picking up takeout, And guy next to me online taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, you're Frank, the Tip Tuesday guy, right?" And I was like, "Wow, really?" He's like, "Yeah." And as it turns out, we're in the same business, we're in the same industry. He's in insurance at another firm, and he said, I watch your videos every week. It's really helping my business." And I was like, "That's fantastic. That's exactly
That's
what I'm doing."
exactly the result you're looking for, right?
That was it. That was
That was
it.
it. That was it. So, one of the things that I believe in, and I've been in advertising since '85. So I've seen the entire scope in radio and television and broadcast and things like that. And one of the things that I think is really fascinating is a lot of people would love to do what we're doing right now, only the technology is the limiting factor, and so I'm playing with this idea of helping others produce shows that they can get online
Mhm.
and do this kind of thing. And I think it would be a valuable opportunity to broadcast and get some more people on there. Even though I do it every day, I mean that's a lot, but at the end of the year, that's only 300 and some odd 240 or some odd shows. So I think that there's room for more people. What do you have any thoughts about that, or would you like to see more videos?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's powerful about the video aspect is that they're cataloged, right? So
Mhm.
once I get an introduction to somebody, like you said, they seem interesting to me. Maybe we've seen each other's stuff. Maybe we've had a conversation or not. I then know that every once in a while I'm going to go visit them
Yeah.
and check out their stuff in replay,
Hmm.
and I'm going to pick up a nugget here and a nugget there. I'm going to gather some value. And what it makes me want to do is turn around and give more, because I always want to be, a net giver in the relationship. I never want to be a net taker. So
Hmm.
I think with more video, again, with so many different social media networks and so many places where we can read text, it all kind of becomes one big white noise now.
Yeah.
So when someone has a video, I'm much more likely to spend a few minutes. Certainly, I mean, I have a train commute each way every day. Sunday nights, I usually spend a pretty, when it's not championship Sunday, I usually spend some time gathering through, going through some videos. So yeah, I think the more people that jump on the platform, um, the easier it becomes to have that at least initial sense of what someone's personality is. So you
Yeah.
could make an easier decision as to whether or not you want to pursue a relationship with them.
Yeah.
I don't think that, as you mentioned in the beginning, I don't think technology should be a barrier to anybody. I did
Yeah.
my very first video on my iPhone sitting in the driver's seat of my car because that's where I was inspired to do it. And I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Morizioism number one is doing something actually means doing something. I
Yeah.
hit record and I put out a minute and a half unedited video and I posted it immediately. And that was really the beginning. And here I am, months and months later. I mean, I'm a guest on the Pirate Broadcast. I mean, what could be better than that for me at this stage of my broadcast career?
Well, and it's the applause, round of silent applause for Frank for getting started, because that is that is the key. It's the key to sales. It's the key to relationships. It's the key to life. Is you have to be present. Every day's a gift, and if you wake up, you have to be present, right? You have to have you have to be there, show up, do your work, and help others, and that's the magic in what we're doing here, is the ability and the opportunity to really, help someone out, even if it's not beneficial, a go-giver, and, put it
Right.
out there and assist people and support people along their journey. Because so I so many times there's people in front of us, there's people behind us, and if we can help the people behind us, it helps lift us up. That's just that's the law of the universe. In my opinion, that's what I believe is, you know, I I help others out, and it always comes back to me. So I want to give shout out to Gabriel, Arcot, uh, Elizabeth, Sherry, so many people. Nick, thank you so much. We're good. Dang coffee shop, Elizabeth says, and Angie, man, Cy, Carolyn Gray. I'm in Houston this next week, so I have to stop and say hi. Arcot. All of these people that join the Pirate Broadcast and look at the reposts and everything else, it's amazing. It's whether you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching this on Periscope, you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn or my actual website, my blog post that brings it all together. You can catch Frank and you can catch the conversation on Tuesdays and Fridays. What's the tip? What are they looking for, the hashtags?
So on Tuesdays, you're going to look for the hashtag Tip Tuesday. And
Tip
then Tuesday. And then on Friday, you're going to have the hashtag Friday Fix Up. And, like we said before, consistency is the key. So it doesn't just happen organically. I have it written down in my schedule every week that I have to make sure I'm making good connections for people. So I have a good story to tell on Friday because I'm encouraging the community to continue to do that for each other. Make one connection for somebody and see how that's going to grow and grow and grow. And I genuinely do believe that we're all, for the most part, here for the same, common interest, which is grow relationships and see what happens. That's really what I'm here for.
And I really think that, LinkedIn has been so beneficial for my community and my business is the expansion of the message, the ability to reach out and have conversations with people has
Sure.
It's been very gratifying to meet so many wonderful people around the world. And, the barriers, the graphic barriers and everything that goes along with that is really, it blows my mind all the time. There's challenges, with anything. And, there's also the kind of challenges like, 10-minute tip or 10 tips, 10 days, or, why video and Bryce Schuleman and some of these people that are doing things, there's Dance for Australia. There's,
Sure.
and it's, there's a lot of things that we can pay attention to, but the thing that you really want to pay attention to is being consistent, reach out to friends, when people are, there's some challenging stories out there. It's nice to be, I believe in kindness. I believe in, kindness is cool and smiles are free. So that's my mantra. And it's really paid off in the long run. And, I'm sure that you've seen situations that people didn't have insurance, so they didn't have the adequate coverage.
Sure.
And it's tragic when that takes place. So if you have insurance industry questions, or you have a need for someone to, review what you're doing or why you're doing it, reach out to Frank, make a connection here today and build that relationship before you need it, not after you need it,
Thank you, Russ. Yeah, I certainly believe in that.
Yeah. So Frank, one question. If you had to leave with one major key, something that we can actually share with the community today, what would that be?
I'm going to go back to Morizioism number one. I think you can apply this to all parts of your life. It's doing something actually means doing something. And if you embrace that in any facet of your life, hey, jump into video. Hey, make that extra phone call today. Hey, there's somebody sitting over there in the coffee shop. They kind of look familiar. Don't walk away. Go over and initiate a conversation, start a relationship. We're fellow humans in this community, right? So I would say that is the number one thing that when I wake up every day is on my mind. It's what am I going to do today? It's not what am I going to try? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to think about? It's what action am I going to take? And hopefully my action, because it's written down, is moving me toward where I want to go instead of away.
Fantastic. So you heard it here first with Frank. So Frank, thank you so much for the great information. Everyone, go follow Frank. Watch for his tips. Watch for his Friday
The fix up.
and his content and all his content. And I encourage you to, reach out to someone, build a relationship today. And kindness is cool. Smiles are free.
Miles are free.
And you enjoy the day.
Thank you so much, Russ. You too.
You bet. Take care.